I've been asked quite a few times lately how I clean the barrels in my air rifles. The problem is if you have a fixed barrel air rifle, like this PCP, or an underlever air rifle, you've got no direct access to the breech. So you can't use a one-piece cleaning rod like this here, the same way you would on a rimfire or centerfire rifle. And it's very inadvisable to try and clean any rifle's barrel from the muzzle end with a cleaning rod, because you run the risk of damaging the crown in the barrel and ruining the accuracy of your rifle. So what you're going to need is one of these. It's just a simple pull through, and it's passed from the muzzle down through the barrel and out the breech, where you can attach a piece of cleaning patch through the loop, which is pulled back through the barrel, cleaning it as it goes. Now this has no metal parts in it at all. This is one I make myself, and I'll show you what you need to do that now. Now to make your simple pull through, all you'll need material wise is a 4-inch piece or 100mm length of 12mm dowel, and a 1-inch piece or 25mm length of 6mm dowel. Now you can buy either of these in 1 meter lengths in a local hardware or DIY store. The 6mm cost me 58p a length, and the 12mm cost me 68p a length. You'll also need something with a 1-inch diameter. You don't have to use a wooden dowel like this here, piece of electrician's conduit or a plumber's pipe, so long as it's about 1 inch in diameter, 25mm. You also need 2 nails. Broadhead nails work the best. This one I've fashioned into a crude hook, you'll see why later. And of course, most importantly, you'll need your line. Now you can use ordinary fishing line for this, but I like fly fishing line as it's a wee bit more flexible than normal fishing line. Plus it has, all I can describe it as, a hard waxy coat on it that's very hard wearing and lends itself well to being pulled through a rifle bore. Now fly fishing lines can cost you anywhere from £9 or £10 for the cheapest line, but I managed to find a site on the web that was selling slight seconds for £3.99. This is a WF8 intermediate line, but I don't think it really matters what one you get so long as you get it at the right price. There's about 30 yards in this, so there's plenty of yardage there to make quite a few of these pull throughs. Now the first 3 to 4 feet in a fly line is usually tapered. You can cut this off if you want to make the whole thing the same diameter, but it's that slight you'd probably hardly ever notice it. So we'll show you how to make a pull through now. First you'll need to measure the length of your gun's barrel. For example, my gun was a 26.5-inch barrel. Then double this, which made 53 inches, and add another 4 feet or 48 inches to make 101 inches in my case, and cut the line to that length. It sounds a little long, but you're better off with too much for a bit of wastage than having too little. Then tie a simple loop into the end of both lines. Now just simply double the line over to help you find the centre easily. Then tie a simple overhand knot and push the piece of cutting you have with a 25mm diameter into the middle of it and tighten it. Then drive one of the broadhead nails into your workbench and attach one of the loops onto it. Then attach the other loop onto the nail you've bent into a hook and attach to a drill chuck. I'm using a low speed here, and I kept it running for about 45-50 seconds to get enough of a twist on the line, but you may need to experiment with this. Then, without letting the line unwind, pass the other end over and attach it to the same nail head as the first one. Now you'll feel the line wants to twist in a certain direction. Let it do so, but in a controlled manner between your fingertips. This will let the two pieces of line bind together. Once they've finished, push the piece of 25mm cutting out of the centre of the loop. Now take the 4-inch piece of 12mm dowel and mark the centre. Then drill through it with a 2.5mm drill bit. Then in line with the first drill hole, drill with a 6mm drill bit, but only about 2/3 of the way through, about 8 or 9mm. Then clean the edges up a wee bit with a piece of fine sandpaper. Now take a piece of strong thread and tie it round the end of the line, just in front of the knot. This will help it from unravelling once you cut the knot off it. Then take the cut end of the line and push it through the 2.5mm hole and out the 6mm hole. And tie a strong knot into the end, making sure it's good and tight. Then cut the excess off and make sure it pulls nice and flush down into the hole. Take the 6mm dowel and just bevel the leading edges a wee bit with a piece of sandpaper. This will help it fit into the hole easier. Then dry fit it to make sure it will fit before you mix the glue up. I'm using some epoxy resin here. Make sure everything's right before you mix this up because it goes off very quickly. Apply it to the hole in the dowel, and then put a wee bit round the 6mm dowel as well and push the two together. You can even tap it a wee bit, but gently, to make sure it's fitted into the hole properly. I left this overnight as it was quite cold to make sure it was well hardened. But once hardened, cut the excess off with a fine twist saw. Then file it down flush with a piece of sandpaper wrapped around a wooden block. You can even tidy the ends up by filing the sharp edge off, just to give a nice finish. Then rub it down nicely with a piece of fine steel wool. You can even give it a coat of varnish or linseed oil to seal the wood. And there you go, one simple pull through.